Hi everybody, I'm Bree the Plant Lady, checking in with part 2 of my mid to late October weekly garden tour right here from sunny Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina. Now I am standing under the arch, which is a Seminole pumpkin arch at this point, and I am thrilled to show you that I have got a lot of fruit that are forming, and this is actually kind of the perfect stage to harvest because they're not so big. You can treat them like a zucchini. If you let these actually grow to maturity, they will turn orange just like a pumpkin, and they'll last a really long time. However, I've done that in years past, and I've had like 60 to 80 fruit, and it's a lot to store. So this year I'm being kind of conscientious of getting them harvested young so that I can eat them on a regular basis. You just slice them up, you can saute them, you can roast them. They're just super delicious and, well, really a great addition to basically any meal that you're making. So without further ado, let me turn this camera around and give you a view of all that's growing here in my back gardens. Well, we'll start right here on the back porch, and the Charles Grimaldi Brugmansia has been absolutely spectacular. See, there's a lot of flowers that are kind of coming to an end, but there's still lots of fresh new flowers opening, and this is super fragrant right at dusk, which is far too early nowadays. And then I wanted to show you the Seminole pumpkins. This is really my favorite stage to harvest because that is enough for just a meal. They'll get significantly larger than that, and so I'm giving you this advice just out of my own habits for eating. Smaller, they're really tender, they don't have any seeds produced. You can just slice right through them. See, I've got another one here. It's growing quite well. I've got more over here. This one's getting a bit bigger, but this size, that's nice and tender, perfect for eating. And let me just back out of here so you can see the arch looking good, finally covered. And of course the deer have been coming in and nibbling the kufia right here. And you know, I do have cattle fence in, but the kufia is growing out through it. That's okay. You know, all of this will die with frost. So at this stage, it doesn't really matter if the deer are nibbling. But I'm really pleased with how these foundation borders came out. They're bold and colorful, just like the Memphis Botanic Garden, which I was just so thrilled to see their big tropical displays. And you know, that was the aim for this year, and I think that I can say I have successfully achieved that. Now we are really, really dry. You know, I removed the coleus from this bed a few weeks ago. I seeded in Ms. America mustard, which is germinating, but because I've been out of town, we haven't had any rain since Hurricane Helene. Seedlings are not growing very quickly, though they are germinating. You can see right here, these are all Ms. America seedlings, but I definitely need to run some sprinklers. We don't have any rain in the forecast. This is pretty typical for North Carolina. Fall is very dry here unless we have tropical systems. And to be perfectly blunt, I don't want any more tropical systems. I just cannot believe how much more in love I am with this border since that oak came out. The sassafras, as you can see, is really starting to show great fall color, as is the one remaining blueberry. And this mangave flower is so incredible. It's a much brighter yellowish orange flower compared to the one that bloomed earlier the season. Here's the spike from the one that's finished. This one is in full flower right now, and it is just spectacular. Of course, you can't beat that Carolina blue sky. You can see it's such a tall, bold flower stalk. I am in love with every aspect of mangave. I think everybody needs to grow this plant. I do need to come in and water all of these pots, but really happy to see so many tomatoes on these big old heirlooms that are growing up over my clothesline, which is precisely why I put these pots here. Gonna be able to harvest some today. Hot diggity. Dry. Can't express that enough. But all these containers are looking good despite the fact that I don't think they've been watered all week since I've been gone. I hate that the sorghum has all flopped over. You can see it's planted way back there. But look at these seed heads. They are so awesome. And I do plan on eating a lot of the sorghum. Sorghum seed is really high in magnesium and manganese. I tend to be low on both of those because of my predominantly plant-based diet from living with alpha-gal. So I'm really thrilled to see so much seed. You cook it just like rice. Basically just put it in water and boil it, and it kind of just puffs up. The bananas are looking dry. That's all dry browning. But, you know, again, I've just not been home. I'm going to be gone. I'm home for a few days this week, but then I'm gone for another almost week. So I'm just not putting a lot of pressure on myself. Just trying to enjoy the garden and not get overwhelmed by a to-do list. All right, as we come along here, I really need to water. I haven't been out here yet. I have a ton of peppers. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. Basically eating peppers with every single meal. Really great. I love these. I love them when they turn orange. It's exactly what they're supposed to do. And ooh, la la, look here. The sweet banana peppers are even starting to turn orange too. And we've actually got more eggplants and even more tomatoes over here to harvest. But I'm really excited to do the big reveal of the hardy citrus. Look at that. And again, I'm sure there are things you could do to use this culinarily. It's not the sort of citrus that you're just gonna like peel and eat. It's very bitter, has a really thick rind. I primarily grow it for ornamentation, I guess. But I'm gonna try and figure out something to do. I don't drink any brown liquor, so I don't really need bitters. But probably could make some really great bitters out of this. And then panning here to this little foodscaped area in front of the garage. You see the peanuts are doing really well. And anywhere where you have a peg that's driving down into the ground off of that central stem, that's where all the peanuts are forming. They form underground, but they're actually a fruit, not a nut, because it's a flower that was pollinated that the peg forms from. And here's a great example above ground. So see, here's the peg right here. This was a flower. See, it's kind of just dried up. And then the closer that gets to the ground, then it'll dive in. I can sort of force it down a bit. Then a nut will actually form on the base of that peg. And lots of eggplants here ready to be harvested. I am not in an eggplant shortage. I'd say at this stage, eggplants and peppers are the thing I have the most of. And some of these peppers are just really nice, impressive sizes. So I'm not harvesting them all because the refrigerator is full. So we kind of come out and get these as needed. I love seeing these muhly grass out my window from the kitchen. And I've been contemplating, like, how much do I really need that holly? I don't know. I sometimes like the idea of taking out some of these bigger shrubs so I have some new space to fill in, but it's a bit crowded, the muhly grass and the holly. And this section is doing very well compared to a year ago where everything was super small. It's so nice to see how quickly everything is filled in. And you know, even the area that we just planted earlier this summer, you can see the asters are all really starting to take off. And well, I'm really happy with these new installations. Remember, these are just two big chartreuse leafed Leyland cypress that really weren't adding anything to the landscape. And by taking those two out, I put in so much more biological diversity by having these native and some non-native plants, but mostly perennials added here. It's definitely full of good life instead of full of bagworms. Well, the next time that I do a garden tour for all of you, there will be concrete behind me. The concrete guys are coming in a few days to do pads around the greenhouse and a big pad here behind the garage so that vehicles can actually come out and be accessible even when the ground is extremely wet. So I'm pretty stoked about that. And I'm also really happy to see that this mum that is in a pot in like dense shade and gets absolutely no additional water is actually in full bloom. I think it's so pretty. I'm gonna pluck a bunch of these to make a floating flower arrangement today. Well, again, this is the week where around the greenhouse is gonna change dramatically with some more concrete. I'm also gonna have this whole area is going to be gravelled, and it's gonna be my kind of nursery zone for easy watering. Obviously, I'm already doing that here. I have my wagon full of mulch, not that much mulch left, but I'm gonna mulch this area to try and cover up the remnants of the clay that was brought in to make the greenhouse pad flat. I'm gonna try to get that done before Tuesday when the concrete guys come. And then of course there will be a nice big entryway here in front of the greenhouse. There will be a new patio up there. There'll be a nice walkway connecting down here to an enormous patio on the side of the greenhouse. We're doing that here very specifically because those fans blow out. And this is like the coolest, most insect-free spot in all of the properties. So we're gonna really take advantage of this by making this a patio. And I figured I'd go ahead and demo that for you. It feels so good. And really that air blows way up under this taxodium. Of course, once the sidewalk and patio is poured, I'll then be able to start making a big bed here under the taxodium, which is going to be entirely filled with ferns. So there is a method to this madness, and I'm finally getting into the stretch where I'm going to actually be able to make my dreams become a reality. And I'm very, very excited. Well, if you all can put your good vibes towards us having a day just like this 2 weeks from now, because we will be hosting the wedding for Brittany and Tyler from 3 Trees in a Coop, who built the greenhouse, in 2 weeks. 2 weeks today. And I would love for that border to look exactly like it does. You know, that's all pumpkins and squash and brilliant castor beans, and that Carolina blue sky makes everything look better. The pseudolarix, which is a deciduous conifer right there, is starting to get some color. So in 2 weeks time, maybe it'll still have some needles on and it'll look really pretty. And I have not been out searching for squash, and I need to, because I know they're starting to get enormous in here. In fact, I see one. It's nice size, a little big for just me, but that's okay. I need to harvest that. And I see another right there, another over here. And oh, there's, oh boy, there's more. There's a whole lot. And you know, you think you see them all, and then when you do have frost, you find so many more fruit. It's pretty consistent. And I just want to check in on my gigantic one. Of course, I haven't been in town, so I didn't get to enter it in the fair, which is for sort of par for the course. I've actually never been to the state fair. But oh yeah, there's my big boy. I'm super proud of it. There's no reason to be proud of it, but I just think it's so cool to get one that's that big. But I do need to keep my eyes peeled and probably have an abundance of squash, so I'll end up using them as decoration for the wedding, and then people can take them home and eat them. I like decorations that are multi-purpose, not just ornamental, but also edible, which is the entire premise of my whole career as a foodscape expert. And of course I've got more sorghum here, and I'm really glad I didn't prematurely take these out because, you know, they lodged in the hurricane, but then look, they've actually straightened themselves out and are growing upright again. So really happy to see that. And it's pretty amazing how well they do even in a lot of shade. So, you know, this sycamore, whose mom went to the International Space Station. This is my outer space sycamore from University of Florida, but it casts a lot of shade. And so it's pretty amazing that everything in this bed that is all really sited for full sun has done as well as it has. I'm on the lookout for more squash. And coming through the pathway, and it's dry, there's no questioning. More eggplants, naturally. I'm gonna have to use eggplants as decoration for the wedding too. And so happy to see that this squash or pumpkin, whatever, has really done its job filling in that open space from when I cleaned this bed up back in early September. And these cool season veggies are growing well. They need to be sprayed with BT. You can see that cabbage worms are doing their job efficiently and basically wiping their foliage away. So a good spray of BT will eliminate that problem. And I wanted to show you the Arnold Promise before it lost all of its leaves. So it's been absolutely magnificent looking at this the last few days since I've been home, seeing that great fall color. You know, this is a plant that I primarily grow because of its incredible lemon scented flowers in the early spring, but it really does have beautiful fall color, which is very early here for Central North Carolina standards. Most of our fall color doesn't really come until at least late November, really early to mid-December. So the fact that this looks like this on the 19th of October is very much noteworthy. And just to give you another view of the whole backyard, you know, it'll look dramatically different after we have a hard frost and all the lush, colorful stuff disappears, and then I get everything eventually replanted or direct seeded for the cool season. I'm really thrilled for the first time that I can say this arch is living up to my standards. The persimmon have absolutely come into full strength. I think these have been planted 5 or 6 years, so it does take a little while, but you can see there are so many fruit. This is Nikita's gift, this rounder, more sort of orange, almost looks like a peach. See those fruits? And then this one, I can't come up with the cultivar name, but you can see it does look dramatically different in that it's more oval shaped. This one needs to have frost before you eat it. It has a lot of tannins in it. In contrast, these fruit can actually be eaten once they're ripe. And the ripe ones are all a little bit out of reach, but you see they are much more orange than peach. And that's the main thing. You can also tell because they are really soft to the touch. Well, everyone, I hope that this weekly garden tour will serve as inspiration for you as we come to the near end of October. I'm going to do my very best to get some more videos up this week. I will be out of town, so I will probably be tardy for getting the next weekly garden tours posted, but know that once I get home, I will get back into the groove. Well, everyone, as always, thanks so much for watching and happy gardening.